Good day and welcome to the Part 2 Innovative Programs for Pregnant and Parenting Teens in or Exiting Substitute Care conference call. At this time, I would like to turn the conference over to Cynthia Peterson. Please go ahead, ma'am.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Cynthia Peterson, and I am the Out-of-Home and Youth Program Manager for the Child Welfare Information Gateway. And I'm also the Project Coordinator for the National Resource Center for In-Home Services. On behalf of the National Resource Center for In-Home Services, welcome to Part 2 of our three-part series on pregnant and parenting teens who are in or who have exited foster care. The topic for today's discussion will focus on two innovative programs that are designed to effectively address unique needs of this vulnerable population. Before we get started, I would like to explain some of the features of the GoToWebinar. At the top right-hand corner of your screen, you should see a feature that allows you to raise your hand if you want to be recognized or to type in a question for the presenters. Feel free to use those features at any time. We will leave time at the end of the presentation to ask for questions or for discussion. At that time, phone lines will be open, so feel free to simply begin talking, but please, we will acknowledge any hand raised or written questions at that time as well.
And I'd like to join you and welcome you. This is Lisa Diano. I'm the Project Director for the National Resource Center for In-Home Services. We're really pleased to have you joining us today. We're also pleased to be co-sponsoring this webinar with two other National Resource Centers as well as the Runaway and Homeless Technical Assistance Center. Joining us today is Edie Winkle, who's the Training and Technical Assistance Coordinator at the Friends National Resource Center for Community-Based Child Abuse Prevention. And in addition, other sponsors include the National Resource Center for Youth Development and the Runaway and Homeless Youth Technical Assistance Center. And they'll be back with us in our third webinar as presenters for our next in the series. The first of our webinars was held on October 5th. We talked about policies for pregnant and parenting teens. This webinar focuses on innovative programs, and then we'll have a third webinar in the series on November 30th, where we'll look at programs that serve parenting teen fathers, and we'll also take a look at the legal issues around serving this population of pregnant and parenting teens in or exiting care. The objectives of today's webinar are to share information and have you learn about two innovative programs that serve pregnant parenting youth. We have a program from the child abuse prevention perspective, and I guess maybe I should say the family support perspective. And then we have another program that comes out of the child welfare system. And so we wanted to present that since we know we have a broad audience. And in our first webinar, we talked about ways in which child welfare, family support, and child abuse prevention all need to work together to serve these youth who are starting new families while in the care or having recently exited the care of the foster care system, but whose new families are not necessarily in the system and who deserve all the same sorts of supports that other at-risk families deserve. We also want to provide helpful resources to you to support your own efforts to achieve greater services for pregnant and parenting youth. And to that end, I want to call your attention both to the handouts and the PowerPoint that you received today, as well as we'll share with you a link to an annotated bibliography that has lots and lots of resources for you as you work in improving your own programs. Just to spend a moment framing the issue as we did in our last webinar, pregnant and parenting youth are served by a whole variety of family serving systems, going along the whole spectrum from family support and prevention through the child welfare system and into even post-adoption. So it's important that these family serving systems work together to help teen parents transition successfully to adulthood and to support them in their roles as parents. And the goal, of course, is to bring about positive outcomes for teen parents and for their children and for their families as a whole. I'm now going to turn over the presentation to Edie Winkle, who will introduce the presenters from Vermont.
Excellent. Thanks, Lisa. We have some wonderful women with us today from Vermont, and they work with the Vermont's Learning Together program, which is an intensive interpersonal parenting training program. From that program, we have Donna Bailey. Now, Donna is the co-director of the Addison County Parent-Child Center in Middlebury, and she's been with that program since 2000. Although she has been co-director since 2000, but she's been with the program since 98, sorry. She started there first coordinating the education and learning training programs. Donna earned her master's in education at the University of Vermont and has worked as an educator and in human services during her career. We also have Elaine Gannett. Now, Elaine finished her graduate studies in family counseling in British Columbia, but then moved to Vermont and began her career administering programs for families in the nonprofit world. She's been leading nonprofits for the last 25 years, the last 17 which were at the Family Place, which is a parent-child center dedicated to improving the lives of young children through effective parenting. And finally, we also have Hilda Green with us today. Now, Hilda is a native Vermonter, and she started her career at the Agency of Human Services in the 70s and retired from state government after 36 years of service. After retiring from state service, she began as a part-time employee as the Vermont Children's Trust Foundation, and she manages Vermont's Children's Trust Fund grant program and the federal CBCAP grant program as well. So I will now pass it over to Donna, Elaine, and Hilda, who are going to share with you the information about their program. Do we have it, ladies?
They may need to unmute their lines.
Hilda, Elaine?
Elaine? Hi, this is Hilda, and I work for the Vermont Children's Trust Foundation. And Elaine is going to be picking up and talking to you mostly about the Vermont's Learning Together program. Elaine, are you there?
We must have lost Elaine. Hilda, do you want to go ahead and get started, and then we will watch for Elaine to join us?
Okay. Since I'm mostly the grantor of these programs, I'm wondering if Donna could pick it up, because it's actually started. The Learning Together program started at the Addison County Parent-Child Center, where Donna is a co-director. So, Donna?
Okay, this is really odd because everybody was just here.
I know. I don't know what happened to them. Well, let's get going here. I don't have the slide. I don't have control of the slide, but Cynthia, can you pass it along? Okay. The Learning Together program has started, as I said earlier, with the Addison County Parent-Child Center. We have 15 parent-child centers in the state of Vermont designated by the Agency of Human Services, and they work for all families with children. They work with families with young children, but also with teen parents. They have realized that during the years that the teen parents here in Vermont have problems working, going to school at the regular school system. So they started in the 1980s this Parent-Child Center Learning Together program. So it's an alternative school program that they have for teens who just can't make it in the regular school system. With that, they started this Learning Together program where they actually have on-site child care and on-site work experience, and they do a lot of other things, components for that program that assist these pregnant and parenting teens. And if Donna and Elaine wants to jump in, they can anytime.
I'm here.
Okay, great.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I'm sorry about that. This is Elaine, and I apologize. As Hilda said, the program began in the 1980s at the Addison County Parent-Child Center. And the other thing about this program is at the time that Addison started their program, they had such success in reducing the county's child abuse rates and second pregnancy rates that there was a lot of interest in trying to replicate the approach that they were taking to working with this population. Other parent-child centers at the time were also working with this same population, but were providing their services in a less intensive way through home-based services. Funding did become available for us to start up and replicate the program, so over the course of a decade, the other parent-child centers in the state began to implement the program. And through the research, the experience, and certainly the successful outcomes that we've had, we identified some core components which you saw on an earlier slide. The program targets 3 specific populations of young adults, those that are pregnant, those that are parenting, or those that are at risk for getting pregnant. The age range is 13 to 24. Many of them have actually dropped out of school or are disenfranchised from the regular school system, and most of them come from a background of generational poverty. When this program is what we say is fully implemented, it's offering at minimum 20 hours a week of activities at the Parent-Child Center. So that means these young adults are with us 4 to 5 days a week. Okay. The referrals for this program come from many sources: schools, child protection, welfare, corrections, homeless shelters, hospitals, self-referrals, referrals from other participants, as well as from other Parent-Child Center programs. And the goals are as stated on the slide. The basic approach to this program is to first eliminate the barriers that will allow them to successfully participate in the program, and secondly, eliminate the barriers that need to happen so that they can move towards self-sufficiency and effective parenting. The biggest barriers we've discovered for them participating in the program are childcare and transportation, so those are available through the program. And then other barriers that we address are education, mental health, housing, help with parenting. One example of how we address the transportation barrier for program participation, many of these programs are providing rides for these young adults to get to the program, either through vans or arrangements that they have with other existing ride networks. They also help participants get their learner's permit. They bring driver's ed programs on site. Once these people are out of the regular school system, there's no other way for them to get driver's ed. The programs also help them access cars through used car programs. And another way that they do that is they can provide financial assistance with gas or car repairs. The program has some very specific outcomes. These are some of the major ones that you see here on the slide. There's lots of other outcomes that we're interested in, and these are being tracked from year to year. An example is we also are looking at things like the developmental status of the children, how they're doing with their parenting skills. We're collecting information at the beginning and end of the program, and we're also asking participants to report to us on a number of things that they consider important and are looking for in their goals. Okay, as mentioned earlier, many of these participants don't have positive experiences in the regular school system. So the Learning Together program really provides an alternative setting and an alternative way for them to obtain high school diploma. They're actually able to earn high school credits with us while they're on site in our programs. And we do this through the partnerships that we have with the schools. Developing these partnerships has taken a lot of time. It's all about the relationships that we build with the schools, and the schools really beginning to have an understanding of what we're doing and how it benefits this group. Ultimately, when the center is approved by the Department of Education, they're actually getting reimbursed through the school for the work that they're doing with our participants. This process has taken us a lot of time. One of the things that's been great to see is that once some schools start doing it, other schools that may be a little bit hesitant see that and get on board. When we first decided to replicate the great program, that Addison was doing across the state, we quickly realized that we couldn't go from nothing to full implementation. And this is a very staff-intensive program. So we sat down as a group of parent-child centers and identified the major elements that we felt needed, sort of changed over time to really get us to the point where the program was fully implemented. And these elements basically fall into three categories: the actual number of participants that the program is serving, the number of hours a week that are available to the participants, and the actual number of program components. So the size of the program directly relates to staffing and funding. And on this slide and on the next slide, you see the criteria that we developed that basically describes how you go from starting the program to what we call fully implemented, which is Phase 5. And when you're at Phase 5, you're also in a position where you're available to mentor other programs that are in earlier phases. Another thing that we did with these program components is we developed a set of quality criteria so that we're really trying to build some consistency and fidelity to this model that we call learning together. Okay. There's no one single funding stream for Learning Together. Learning Together is funded by a wide array of funding, including public and private sources. Some of those are listed above. Parent-child centers blend these funds so that there's revenues to provide the holistic approach to serving families. These families come with many needs, and there's not one funding source that meets all the needs. And as you know, many of the funding sources are restricted. So we take the funds, provide the supports in the way the funder allows, and combine them with other funds. And by doing that with multiple funds, we meet all the needs that the family has. Thank you.
Hi, this is Donna Bailey, and I'm one of the co-directors of the Addison County Parent-Child Center, and I'm here to introduce Brandy, who is a young mom here from a small town in Addison County, Vermont. And Brandy has a son who is 13 months old, and she is a senior in high school here in Learning Together, and will be marching and graduating with her class in her hometown in June. And she is in her second year of Learning Together. She spends 28 hours a week, 5 days a week here during the school year, and 3 days a week in the summer. She and her son arrive here and return home on a van and transportation provided by us, and she was referred by her high school guidance counselor to our program when she was pregnant. So I'm going to let Brandy tell you about her firsthand experience with Learning Together.
I am here to tell you about the many ways the Addison County Parent-Child Center is helping my family. I can't imagine not having the support of Bradley's child care teachers at the center. When he's upset, they take him and cheer him up. I've watched both teachers sit on the floor and talk to him. This happens during the child care job site. I am able to get high school credit and learn how good it is to spend loving time with my son. I've learned how to play, talk, and soothe him. I've tried these ideas at home, and they've worked well. The alternative school at the PCC is really different than my other schools. In the past, it was hard to get work done. In fact, the students that were not pregnant just kept putting me down. At the PCC, I know I will get the help I need, and that's a relief. I want to learn new things, become a better parent, get stronger reading and writing skills, and figure out how the world works. Other parents have been through the same experience, and I get advice every day. I'm one of the younger moms, so the others who have come before me have already figured some things out. We talk about when to call a doctor, how to use the baby medicine, the best way to feed my son, and we talk about relationships. It feels good to ask for advice, and this helps me to choose the right direction for Bradley and me. My work at the PCC will help me to get a good, steady job that pays well. A cool thing that happens at the center is the way that all of us participants help each other out. Another thing that's been helpful is learning how to communicate differently so that I don't yell at Bradley. For 14 years, I was constantly yelled at, which always made me scared. Being at the PCC is helping me learn how to stay calm. In parenting class, I'm learning how to cope with my anger in different ways. I now know that my son and I can have a good home where he feels safe and he can come to me anytime. I also get support in filling out paperwork for several state programs. The paperwork is very confusing. It's helpful when my outreach worker calls programs with me and helps the process along. The thing is, the center doesn't just help me. My dad was laid off from work for a little while and we needed financial support, but it's hard to ask for help. My outreach worker came to our place, sat down with my dad, and helped us get the paperwork completed so we could have food and other basic needs. My whole family is getting help. The PCC is helping me get back on my feet rather than digging myself in a deeper hole.
Thanks, Brandy.
Thanks so much, Brandy, for sharing your story. We really appreciate you joining us today. Now it's time for some questions. We'll take questions from the audience either on the phone or if you have something you'd like to put in the chat box, we can ask folks. So we're going to focus on the Vermont program, and also Brandy's willing to answer some questions if you have anything for her.
And if you would like to ask a question over the phone line, please press *1 at this time, and then record your first and last name when prompted. Once the recording plays into the conference, your line is open and you may proceed with your question. If you're using a speakerphone, please unmute your phone to allow your voice to be recorded. Again, that's *1 for questions.
While we're waiting for questions, I would like to thank the Vermont folks for giving us such a wonderful set of handouts. When you look at the handouts, if you wanted to write a grant proposal to have funding for a program, I mean, they've given you so much information. I think you could probably write the grant from the handout. And that includes a very detailed phase-in so that you can see how they are able to phase in this complex and intensive program at new sites.
And we do have one question from the phone line.
Thank you.
Holly Fitness.
Hi, Holly. Go ahead.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I'm calling from Illinois, and I just wondered how you guys prioritize referrals. You know, I work for the Department of Children and Family Services, and so is it just, you know, whoever is defined as having the highest need or risk factors, or do young people in foster care, for example, get priority? And do you have a waiting list?
Should we just answer?
Sure.
Go ahead, Donna.
This is Donna from Addison County, and we have somewhat of a wait list, but it's very timed according to school calendars, so we don't hold on to a wait list over months and months and months. But when we're in those crunch times, we make sure we connect with partners and around any kids that had been on the list. But basically, we prioritize by if there's a teen parent who's in high school or out of high school, those are our highest priority. And then DCF or family services, families who are involved with protected services, either the parent or the child, are also in our highest priority. And then young children and their parents who have developmental delays. And then after that, we broaden out to a more prevention and work with as there's room.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any further questions at this time?
Okay. We'd like to again thank Brandy for joining us today. And here's the contact information for Hilda, Donna, and Elaine at the Vermont Learning Together program. And when you those are embedded links, so if you look at your PowerPoint, you can email them if you'd like to get more information. Our next presenter is from the Teen Parent Service Network. Her name is Nicole Millbrook. Nicole currently serves as the Vice President of Clinical Services for UCAN, which is an organization in Chicago. As part of the senior leadership team, Nicole develops, manages, and evaluates multiple clinical service departments within UCAN, including the Teen Parenting Services Network, which is the program that she's going to be talking about today. Nicole brings many years of clinical and teaching and training experiences to her position at UCAN. She has a master's degree of science and counseling from Western Illinois University, and she's also a licensed clinical professional counselor. Welcome, Nicole, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm going to be talking about the Teen Parenting Service Network, which really is a program of UCAN, which is a social service agency in Chicago. UCAN works with 12,000 children, youth, and families in Illinois each year, but our primary client focus is wards of the state of Illinois and the child welfare system, although we do have programs outside of child welfare. UCAN's mission is to build strong youth and families through compassionate healing, education, and empowerment. Like I said, UCAN has a variety of programs, including a therapeutic youth home, a therapeutic day school, community programs that include violence prevention, the Teen Parenting Service Network, outpatient counseling, foster care, vocational training, and we also have an internship program for formal wards of the state. Back in 1994, and actually prior to 1994, there was a class action lawsuit that was filed on behalf of all pregnant and parenting teen wards of Illinois. The reason the lawsuit was filed really was that case managers were at that time responsible for youth and child welfare as individuals and were not required to regard youth with children as families, just as individual youth. As a result, pregnant and parenting needs of youth were not managed by the case manager. So after the class action lawsuit, there was a consent decree where both parties agreed to that this was a problem and agreed to do certain things in order to preserve the rights of teen parents. So several agencies responded to the request for proposals, and UCAN received a contract primarily due to extensive child welfare experience and our ability to collect and store data through our profile data management system. Our management system really allows us to collect data on all teen parenting youth, their children, their educational data, their placement data, who their children are, how many children they have, outcomes of pregnancies, and also the other parent family supports. And we keep information on their history while they're in the network, all the time that they're in the network until they emancipate from the child welfare system at 21. In 2010, there was a supplement to the Hill-Erickson consent decree, and DCFS responded to that by making the Teen Parenting Service Network a statewide entity. So clients who are eligible for the Teen Parenting Service Network are individuals who meet one or more criteria. You could be a pregnant ward, you could be a parenting ward, whether you're male or female. You could be a child of a ward, and whether or not the baby themselves is a ward, that baby is a part of the network. We also provide assistance to the other parent, whether the other parent is male or female. Some of the rights that pregnant and parenting teens have per the Hill-Erickson consent decree are that the clients have a right to a stable and safe placement for both themselves and their children. Prior to the consent decree, clients were required to have a placement for themselves. The worker was not required to have a placement where the child could live with them, and that ended in a lot of disrupted placements for the client because they couldn't live with their babies. Clients have the right to education and daycare resources that include education for them when they're pregnant, as well as resources for their child. Parenting support is one of their rights, prenatal, medical, and dental care for themselves and their child, and also information about family planning and options counseling. Options counseling is really a very important component of this in that when a client is pregnant, somebody really needs to talk to them about what all their options are, including parenting the child themselves, using an informal arrangement, or to talk about other options regarding terminating a pregnancy. The Teen Parenting Service Network is an administrative body that's responsible for monitoring all pregnant and parenting teen wards of the state and their children. We're also responsible for ensuring the rights of the client and their child per the Hill-Erickson consent decree. The network is made up of several agency partners, and it's kind of a complicated structure. So I'm going to attempt to explain it in the simplest way I can think of. So pregnant and parenting programs are either specialty or non-specialty programs. So these are programs where our clients may live. So they're all full-service agencies. Specialty programs are full-service agencies that have a contract specifically to serve pregnant or parenting youth. So that means that the program itself meets all of the client's pregnant or parenting needs. Non-specialty programs are full-service agencies that are not contracted to provide specialty pregnant and parenting services. However, due to relationship with a case manager or with a placement and the client's other needs being met well in those placements, we are, TPSN TPSN is able to support clients who live in these non-specialty programs through our network. Other network partners include agency partners that provide new birth assessments, and those are the ones that are listed on the screen now. New birth assessments are developed in collaboration with DCFS to ensure that all young families' needs are assessed within 60 days of the child's birth. So when we become aware of a pregnancy, we find out when the due date is, and then we assign the client to one of these partners so that they can be assessed prenatally from the last trimester through the first 60 days of the pregnancy to ensure that all their needs are being met for their growing family. Our other network partners include our specialty case management services providers. These are agencies that UCAN has a direct contract with to provide pregnant and parenting case management services only. So these agencies get 72 hours of training up front on how to provide services to pregnant and parenting teens, plus ongoing trainings and other support from the network, and they provide case management to our most difficult populations. So the new birth assessment that I referenced before includes an evaluation of the family's concrete needs, meaning what are the things that they need in order to prepare for a baby, like baby startup kits, cribs, portable cribs, etc. Training that might be needed for the mom or the dad on how to take care of a young baby, including soothing a fussy baby, referrals for any additional services, postnatal follow-up. It also includes an adult-adolescent parenting inventory, which assesses parenting risk, and the child and adolescent needs and strengths assessment, which we refer to as CANS. CANS assessments are done in Illinois on all wards of the state every 6 months, but we particularly require one at the new birth assessment and then every 6 months until 1 year before emancipation. So some of the ways that UCAN's Teen Parenting Service Network supports all of those service partners is that we have 2 different areas of service. One is our system support services that includes quality improvement, educational, vocational liaisons. We have intake, who basically accept the initial information. We have a client location monitor that's designed to find clients who are on runaway status. We have specialty program coordination. We develop and inform partners about resources, and then we also have billing functions. Our clinical intervention services are our direct services arm of the network, and we provide clinical consulting on the most difficult cases. We provide family support specialists, which are one-on-one parenting coaches. We have a team of therapists, and we also have a team of educational mentors. The way that TPSN supports its partners is that we have regular meetings with our TPSN coordinators of pregnant and parenting specialty programming. We do resource meetings as a part of the meetings with the coordinators, where we introduce new resources to our partners. TPSN specialty training occurs annually. You do not have to be one of the agencies that we contract with directly to attend specialty training, but those agencies are required to attend. And we also have supportive services and clinical services as needed for our agency partners. Resources that are available for pregnant and parenting teens through TPSN are maternity clothing, baby equipment, including a portable crib. Really important that we include a portable crib in this baby startup kit and the baby equipment, because many of our clients don't sleep in the same place all the time, so they may have their placement where they live. They spend a lot of time, especially early on when the baby is smaller, going to visit relatives and friends overnight. And we really emphasize safe sleeping a lot. One of the ways that we do that is to provide all of our clients with a portable crib. Every teen parenting ward who has a minor child in their care gets $107 per month per child, plus a medical card. There's also a special service fee for teen parenting wards that live in foster care. That fee goes to the foster parent to help provide for the needs of the baby. Like I said, we emphasize safe sleep a lot, so we really do want to work with our young moms and dads on safe sleeping for their baby and then appropriate caregiver education, because we do understand as teens, many of our clients go places during the day and they need to leave their babies in the care of others. Options counseling and family planning information is also available through the network. Is there any questions?
Thanks, Nicole. Again, we're open for questions, either that you write in the chat, or you can indicate maybe the operator will come on and just say, how do we do that again?
As a reminder, it's *1 for questions.
While we're waiting for the first question, I actually have one, Nicole. I wanted to know if you would speak a little bit about the educational and vocational liaisons, what that's about.
Yes. Some of the data that we collect on our clients includes their educational attainment and whether or not they're employed, which is a huge issue for teens who are emancipating on their own because they need to be able to support their families. So we're able to run a list of clients who are either not in school or are not making enough progress in school. And then we have some that have high school diplomas or GEDs but are not employed or in school. So we keep an eye on those clients who are not achieving educationally where we would like for them to be. And our educational vocational liaisons contact the workers on those cases and try to troubleshoot what are the issues that's keeping the client out of school. Can we help to resolve some of them? Oftentimes the issues are things that we can resolve with the help of DCFS educational liaisons. Sometimes it's an issue of a client who's been out of school for a lot of years and they need an IEP. Sometimes it's a matter of somebody who dropped out of school years ago because of a pregnancy and really needs some extra support to return. So we assign educational mentors to the clients who need more one-on-one coaching to figure out what is it that they want to do. Sometimes that's a vocational need, and then it helps steer them to the most appropriate programs.
Thank you. Operator, do we have any questions?
We have about 3 questions in the queue. However, they did not record their name. I'll go ahead and open the line.
Great. Hello?
Hi, this is Mary Boo. I had a question about whether you do anything about where the youth live. Are there any special foster parent placements, or are most of these youth in group home or independent apartments? Just curious about what support there is for where they're living.
Good question. The programs that I spoke of earlier, the specialty and non-specialty programs, are more often than not placement programs. So many of our clients live in foster homes. The great majority of our clients live in transitional living programs or independent living programs. And there are some that are in group homes, and there are 2 pregnant and parenting specialty group homes in the Chicagoland area.
Thank you.
And we'll take our next question.
This is Myrna Rader in Los Angeles. I'm wondering, are there services to the youth who have now have children in terms of preventing additional pregnancies or counseling related to abortion issues?
Yes, there absolutely is. That's what our family planning and options counseling really focuses on. The reason we use the term family planning rather than pregnancy prevention is because we really need to talk with our clients when they're not planning a pregnancy or when they are. So we want to train workers to always talk to clients about what is your plan for a family in the future. And we'd like to encourage clients to be able to tell us if they are planning another pregnancy. We've learned that typically our clients are very well versed on birth control options. We used to put a lot of emphasis on educating them on options to prevent pregnancy. And what we've learned is that they know the options. Many of the subsequent pregnancies are occurring because they're planned in some way. So we've now done a paradigm shift in the last couple of years where we're really trying to focus our programming on making it safe for clients to tell their workers if they're planning another pregnancy, so the worker can work with them on realistic planning, on financial planning. Do you have enough space in your home? Are you in the right relationship? And are you getting pregnant for the right reasons? And when those things happen correctly, the worker is able to steer the client to the appropriate counseling.
Can you tell how many of the women who have children are having second and third pregnancies while they're still fairly young?
Oh, that is such a good question. I don't have our year in review data in front of me. We produce a publication every year called our year in review, and one of the data points that we put in there is our subsequent pregnancy rate. And I'm going to guess and say that maybe about 30% of our clients experience a subsequent pregnancy prior to 21 years old.
Thank you.
And we'll take our next question.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi,
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is Mara Ziegler, also from Los Angeles. Hi, Myrna. Where does your funding come from?
Our funding comes from the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services.
So everyone in the network is getting children's services funding?
Yes, everyone in the network is a ward of the state of Illinois.
I mean all the partner agencies.
Yes.
So do the partner agencies provide these services out of their general operating funds, or they get additional grants to focus on these teen parent services?
Many of them get it through their general operating funds. Some apply for grants to be able to do special services to teen parents, but the specialty case managers, that set of partners that I talked about before, their contract comes directly from UCAN.
Okay, and then I don't think this is for you, the speaker. I had trouble getting on this morning, so if someone can stay on afterwards and make sure you get my email and make sure I get the PowerPoint and the ability to go on to Series 3, I would appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
And we'll take our next question.
Angela Sullivan Lavelle. Hi.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Angela Sullivan Lavelle, calling from West Palm Beach, Florida. And I wanted to find out how you get your clients qualified for the TANF funding that they receive.
Do you mean for the TANF funding or just to be into the network?
No, for the TANF funding.
Oh, so
do they have to be Medicaid? Do they have to have Medicaid?
Yes, and actually all wards of the state of Illinois automatically have Medicaid.
Mm-hmm. And then how do you go about applying for the TANF? Does it come with, because I have DCEP kids, and they do not automatically have TANF, even though they have Medicaid.
We have a process here where we notify the TANF rep for what we call baby wards, the children of our clients' children. And once we're notified that a child is born, we have contact with that person, and it sets up the TANF payment.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We'll take our next question.
Go ahead.
Your line is open. We'll skip to the next question.
Mike Murnock.
Go ahead.
Would you describe, this is Mike Murnock in Pennsylvania, would you describe, please, the father involvement, if you would?
Absolutely. About 20% of our population is young fathers, And unfortunately, we have a really difficult time getting our young fathers involved in our services, even though they're eligible. We send out letters. We have a father's mentor that we send over to try to engage young fathers. And we are always trying to think of innovative programs to get young men involved in our services. And we often have a difficult time with the other parent when the female client is the ward, because the client usually blocks the engagement to the father, so they tend to not want the young man to be involved, although we do have a number of cases where we're serving both the mother and the father, and we have a number of cases where we have custodial fathers that are our clients that are very involved in our services.
This is Lisa. If I can add something, before I came to the Resource Center, I worked for Illinois DCFS and did some focus groups and research on father engagement. And it was very interesting. One of our focus group participants came from the TPSN network and said that she, unlike most of our respondents who said they had a very low percentage of fathers involved, she said that she had almost 100% involvement of her fathers. And when we asked her what her secret was, she said as soon as she found out that one of her female clients was pregnant, she went to the father's mother and sisters and started planning the baby shower. And I've always wanted to know if I wish that it wasn't an anonymous survey, because I'd love to know more about her experience there. We are actually going to focus our third webinar on engaging teen fathers. And, so I invite you to come back, and another group from Illinois is going to talk about their unique training program with fathers that they have been able to engage. So welcome you to join us again. And did you want to say anything else, Nicole?
No, thank you.
Okay. Are there other questions?
We have one other question.
Go ahead.
Oh, hi. I had a question about the TANF, the 170. Is that additional if they're already receiving those services? Would that be an additional 170, or is just if they're already receiving it, they can't have any more?
107 is a stipend that they get per child. So if you have one child, you get $107. If you have two, you get $114. If the person is by any chance receiving TANF funds for their child already, they only get it one time.
Oh, so if they're wards of the state prior to entering into your program, and there are, I'm not sure, are your clients eligible for ABC in the state of Illinois, the Aid to Dependent Child?
I am not sure what that is. I'm not sure what we would call that in Illinois.
I believe it's the same as the TANF. If they're already receiving that, do they still receive the additional 107, or no?
Well, I would assume that our clients wouldn't already be receiving that, because they wouldn't be able to apply for TANF if they're wards unless they have a child or unless they are out of placement and they're not receiving any funds through DCFS.
Okay.
So, and the 107 is specifically for the child.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And there are no further questions.
Thank you. One of the things to put in perspective about some of the questions you've asked about the systems collaboration, Illinois has been at this now for 20 years. And so what you see is sort of the ripe development of 20 years of collaboration. And I think we see some of the same strengths in the Vermont program, that they've been working at this for a long time, and they're both great examples of what you can do when systems work together over the long haul. Thank you so much, Nicole, for your presentation. If you want to learn more about the Illinois Teen Parent Service Network, you have some contact information there. There's also in your handout, there's a link to a web page for teen parents that's sort of very colorful and directed to them, and something else you might want to check out. I'd like to also just draw your attention, as I mentioned earlier, to the Annotated Bibliography, which is available on the National Resource Center for In-Home Services website. It's an extensive list of articles, of resources. You'll find everything from the Hill-Erickson consent decree to academic articles about comprehensive assessments for pregnant and parenting teens. So we welcome you to take a look at that. In most cases, the links are embedded. If you're having trouble getting any of the articles there, please contact the National Resource Center for In-Home Services, and we'll help you get a hold of those articles. Sometimes they're difficult to get a hold of in libraries. Just want to offer some the ability, if you are a state child welfare agency or a tribal child welfare system, the National Resource Centers can help you work to improve your services for pregnant and parenting teens. You can go on to any of our websites, and you'll see the contact information in a minute. And we have contact information. You can ask us, and we can, with approval from the federal regional offices, may be able to provide you on-site technical assistance or additional tailored assistance, literature searches, whatever kinds of things you might need to get you going. We also can facilitate peer-to-peer learning. So if you're, again, a state or tribe and you would like to know more from another system, we can facilitate putting you together, either whether it be by conference calls or in some cases even bringing you together, through an on-site visit. We can provide access to training to help you find curriculum, find trainers, and always we can provide information resources. So please do avail yourself of that if you are a state child welfare agency or a runaway and homeless youth program or a tribal system. And finally, I wanted to make sure to invite you again to Part 3, our webinar, and I think, Cynthia, I'm going to turn this over to you to just give that invitation. Or maybe not. Maybe that's still my thing. We'll be looking at teen fathers issues and legal issues. We'll be joined on this one, the last one, by the National Resource Center for Legal and Judicial Issues, who can talk to you about states where the law is more advanced in this area as well as states where it's not, and give you some ideas about ways to look at the legal questions. Today's webinar will take us a couple of days to get on our website, but if you want to go back and look at anything, or you have some friends or colleagues who've missed it, you can go on to the In-Home Resource Center website and listen. Any last questions or comments from any of our audience members or presenters?
We do have one in the queue.
Great. Go ahead.
Antoinette Nelson from New York City. Yeah,
Hi.
hello?
Hello. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to ask actually both programs. Is there any work that's done with the pregnant or parenting teens, birth families, in terms of support and engagement?
Absolutely. This is Nicole Millbrook from UCAN in Illinois. Supporting and engaging birth families is actually a large part of what the Teen Parenting Service Network does and supports, mainly because many of our clients we find as they emancipate from the child welfare system, they re-engage with their biological families or families of origin. And because our clients are older, because they're 17, 18, 19, and 20, we like to help facilitate that re-engagement process as early as possible. So when we find that a 20-year-old client is spending a lot of time with their biological family, it is so much easier to plan with the family rather than to make it difficult for the client to talk about it by making it a taboo topic. Once the client is 20, it becomes less important that what the original conditions were that brought them into care. It actually becomes more important to focus on safety for their baby and choosing appropriate caregivers. So that's what a lot of the choosing appropriate caregiver education focuses around.
I understand that there are 3 questions on the chat, and I'm having, okay, here we go. I was having some trouble seeing those. This is a question I think maybe for the for Nicole's group, do you provide aftercare services, and what referrals do you make for youth who are emancipating from foster care and leaving your caseloads?
So we do provide referrals for aftercare services. Part of our emancipation planning in that last year when clients are 20 and up is determining what their service provision will look like once they're no longer in the child welfare system. UCAN also has an aftercare services department that provides services to clients that have already emancipated from a program. So much of what we do is helping the legal case manager plan for connecting them with adult services outside of the child welfare system.
And in Illinois, that happens, the emancipation occurs at 21?
The emancipation occurs at 21 for pregnant and parenting teens. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Are there any other questions?
Yes, Lisa. There is a question. It is for either of the presenters. What percentage of clients you serve in your programs have substance abuse issues, and what substance abuse prevention and or treatment services are provided?
This is Elaine from Vermont, and I can't tell you what the percentage of people with substance use issues, but I can tell you that it's very, very high. And one of the core components of the program is having counseling services available, which includes substance abuse services. So that is one of the pieces that gets addressed in the program.
Do you do that on-site, or do you make referral off-site?
Some programs do that on-site, and some programs work with partner agencies.
Nicole, did you want to address the substance abuse issue?
Yes. We also have a pretty large percentage of clients that have substance use issues. We have a much smaller population of clients that have co-occurring disorders that have actual substance abuse diagnoses. And for those clients, we refer them to a few different treatment centers in Illinois that specialize in working with families, some with pregnant teens, and some that allow clients to come there along with babies. The spots are very, very limited in these programs, so we really work, we also work with outpatient providers, and we work with our clients on providing appropriate placements for their babies when they need a voluntary living arrangement so that the child doesn't have to come into care while the mom or dad seeks treatment.
We have one more question. I'd like the final screen to come up with contact information so that we can invite people to get more information. And then we'll take the last question.
Okay, there's a question. It is, you focus on safe sleeping. What about safe driving? Do you help with car seats as well?
Absolutely. A car seat is part of the baby startup kit. You can't take a baby home from the hospital in Illinois without a car seat, so we make sure that every client has got that along with a crib, a portable crib, appropriate clothing for the baby, and we've got a long list of other items that are included in a baby startup kit.
Okay, and I'm sorry, there's one more question. How many youth are you able to serve at one time?
Is that for me or for Vermont?
It doesn't indicate. So maybe if you can speak and then we can have Vermont answer the same question.
Well, we serve as many clients as there are, so all pregnant and parenting wards of Illinois and their children are our clients, and right now we have about 740 clients in the network, and that number stays right around between 700 and 800.
So for Vermont, the number of youth in the program varies depending on what phase the program is in, but when fully implemented, the program size can be from anywhere from 15 to 25 in one program, and there are 15 programs across the state.
Mm-hmm.
This is Lisa. One advantage in Illinois of having a class action lawsuit is that when the state faces budget cuts, the lawsuit still has to be complied with. And so actually that the consent decree for that, as well as another consent decree for all children in foster care, really preserved a lot of programs at a very difficult time for Illinois' financial situation. And you can see more about that if you look at the Hill-Erickson decree. Cynthia, you want to close us out?
I sure do. On behalf of the National Resource Center for In-Home Services, we want to thank you for joining today's webinar. If you have additional questions, the contact information for each of our presenters is listed for your convenience. Additionally, we will send out a short online survey of this webinar. We hope you have learned something new and that you will join us for our next webinar on Wednesday, November 30th. This concludes today's webinar. Thank you and have a great afternoon.
And we'll stay online for the questioner who wanted to make sure we had her email address. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're off.